I will be sharing with you tips and suggestions, nuggets that helped me when I was recruiting as an international student here in the United States of America, and how I was able to secure my internship in big tech with one of the biggest companies in the world within 6 to 7 weeks. Hi everyone, welcome. Thank you for all your love and support on previous episodes, and I hope that you have been enjoying it. Please make sure you tell me if there are any other topics you would like me to cover. Now let's get into it. So I know that this is a long awaited topic for many people, especially for international students in the United States, or even people that are still thinking of going on the graduate program route in the United States. If you're in Nigeria, anywhere in Africa, Asia, anywhere, and you're still thinking of going to the United States or coming to the United States for your graduate degree program, I understand that one very important question that you keep asking yourself is, how do I navigate the job market? So I will be sharing with you tips and suggestions, nuggets that helped me when I was recruiting as an international student here in the United States of America, and how I was able to secure my internship in big tech with one of the biggest companies in the world within 6 to 7 weeks. My program started in June 2023 for the MPH part of the program, but the MBA program started in August. Now, after the program started in August, I was attending every professional class that the school had set up for us. But prior to that, I would like to take us back, rewind. So prior to that, before I even came to grad school at all, before I ever stepped my foot into the United States of America, I was already on LinkedIn, reaching out to people and connecting with people. Now, you might want to ask me why and how. Just because I understand and I know that the job market in the United States can be pretty dicey. The opportunities are there if you look in very well, but you also have to put in the work. The culture in the United States does rely a lot on referrals, on guidance, on support. So when you're trying to get into a particular company, a particular role, it is very important that you put in the work into reaching out to people, networking, having those coffee chats, having those informational interviews. So before I started the program, I was already on LinkedIn. I already carved out a list of companies I would like to recruit with. And in that, I also was able to identify roles that I wanted to apply for, because of course every company has different roles put out. So I identified the roles I wanted to apply for, and I started reaching out to people that were either of 2 or 3 things. 1, in that position; 2, had been in that position before; or 3, the recruiter. A lot of times it's not as easy to find the hiring manager. Some people might disagree with me, except the hiring manager himself or herself puts out or reposts the role. Usually you find the recruiter, recruiting, that would then, post the role, or to just naturally be on the company's website or on their LinkedIn page. So a bit of guidance on that. You want to, identify the companies you want to apply to. That's the first step. Then on their LinkedIn page, you want to go under the jobs tab, and you will find the jobs listed out. Usually, because you're in an MBA program or a master's degree program, you would usually come in most times as an intern. So if you're in a 2-year program, you have the summer between your first and your second year to do an internship. And for that reason, you will be applying for internship positions. Most companies usually put out their opportunities between the month of, as early as May. You have May, June, up until maybe March, April the following year, when people are actually supposed to resume, maybe a few months too. So you want to be on the lookout. You want to start early. You want to apply early, start connecting with people. I started connecting with people before the opportunities were even posted. So that was the first thing I did. Before I came into the US, I was already, reaching out to people, connecting with people, having conversation, asking them about the role, understanding what the application process would be like, and asking who else I should be talking to. Secondly, when I came in, my MPH program started in June. I attended the Forté conference, and at the Forté conference, I met with so many different companies. That actually, propelled me in a different way, because at the Forté conference, I was opportune to see the magnitude of people, the number of people that I am actually supposedly in competition with for these roles. And guess what? Forté is only for women. So in my head, I was like, if these are the number of women recruiting, imagine, and this, not even every woman makes it to the Forté conference. Trust me, I can almost say maybe 1/10 or 1/20. Now imagine how many men. So that gave me an idea of what the competition looked like. And I then was ready to, brace up for the journey ahead. So because I attended Forté, I personally did not get my role from Forté, but it helped with the exposure. It helped my mentality. It helped the way I viewed things. So you also want to put yourself out there and go for affinity conferences that would help you. So some affinity conferences include the Forté Women Conference. That would usually hold around June of the current year that you're starting your program. It's for MBA students. Another one is the National Black for Black students. That usually would happen in September, so we want to check their website. The other one is the Rumba Conference. That's for the LGBTQ community. I think it happens October, November. I'm not very sure. Some people have also gotten their roles from AfroTech. So it's a Black Tech conference. It's usually in Houston. I don't know if they've ever done it anywhere else. I've also never attended that. So you just want to identify all of these affinity conferences that would be helpful for you. So that's the second point. The third one is, like I said, start early. As soon as the roles open, you want to start early. You want to apply as soon as possible. I'll get to my story because honestly, my story did differ all of these rules that I am giving you. But logically, these are the things you should be doing. You want to apply as early as possible, as early as the roles open up. Now, when you apply, like I said, you might also then want to reach out to the recruiting manager as well, again, or the hiring manager if you can find them. And you're reaching out to them to ask them, I applied to this role. This role is of great interest to me. What do you think about, what does the role entail? I mean, you already can see the job description, but you just want to get more information about it. And many times they're usually more than willing to give you more information. Oh, this is how the interview is going to go. It's going to be in 3 stages. These are the things you should be looking out for, and they wish you, best of luck. Usually, most companies would also do a session ahead of the interview just to give you a general overview of the company. At those sessions, you want to listen. At those sessions, they tell you what's important to their company, because one very important interview questions that always come up is, why do you want to come to our company? Why do you want us to employ you? Why us? So your why must be very, 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 very solid and intentional. It must be tied to the company's values. For every company you are applying to, I repeat, every company you are applying to, please sit on their website and understand the company values, their mission, what's important to them, what guides their decisions. Then you can go ahead and do so many other research, their financials and all of that. But before that, please and please understand what guides the company. Now we've talked about starting early, affinity conferences, applying early as well. You also want to stay consistent. I do not want people to say, oh, I applied to this number of companies, they didn't get back to me, or they got back to me with a rejection, and for that reason I gave up. No, you do not want to give up. There is no room for giving up here. You have to put in the work and be consistent. Always show up. There is always light at the end of the tunnel. So now to my personal story. For me, like I said, I came in June. I did not, I attended the Forté conference, but I did not get my job from the Forté conference. I had a couple of coffee chats. I think one thing again that the Forté conference did for me was to give me an insight as to what we mean by sponsoring a student or sponsoring an international student. At the time, I thought I was a freeborn. I thought I was like every other person in the US and I could apply to any company and I had no work restrictions. But as an international student, for you to be able to work, you need work authorization. Usually, if you're in a master's degree program, you get 1 year of OPT. But if your program is STEM, mine is actually STEM, my both masters is STEM approved, you will get 3 years, meaning after your first year, you get a 2-year extension. However, some companies are not open to that because they usually would believe that after 3 years of training you, investing in you, what then happens? Where do you go? But guess what? There are so many other opportunities for you to stay in the US, legal opportunities. You have the extraordinary ability pathways, the EB1 and the EB2, but that's not the essence of this video. But I'm just trying to say that many of them are not open to it. And for that reason, usually companies that would sponsor international students. Now they would sponsor you to get your green card through different other legal pathways that the United States Immigration Commission has already set up. But not every company would be willing to do that. Why? It's like I said, it costs them money, there's legal fees, and for some of them, they just feel like, why an international when we have domestic students that or domestic or local people that might just be able to do the exact same job. So you want to really be extraordinary. You want to set yourself apart a lot of times for the companies to be able to sponsor you. Now, what Forté did for me was to help me identify and really ring into my head that some companies, no matter how good you are, will not sponsor you. And you have to come to that reality as early as possible. For that reason, I then came up with 20 companies that I knew were willing to sponsor international students in the United States post-graduation and are willing to interview and engage with international students. After that, I did that in June. I spoke to some of them at Forté, but it didn't really yield anything. But I kept up, most of those contacts. I reached out to them on LinkedIn. I kept having coffee chats every week. I am not exaggerating when I say I had at least 3 to 4 coffee chats, informational interviews every week. I was still in the MPH program. The MBA program had not started. So fast forward, I think the program started sometimes August 24, 22. I can't really remember. It was the last week of August for us. And then I know that by second week of September, it was time for the National Black Conference, which I also attended. And I would not really say that that also benefited me much. I was reaching out to people. I had my resume. I was meeting up with recruiters. I actually had interviews at National Black, yes. So it's not really a write-off for anyone. I actually had interviews at National Black. Some companies did not interview. They just told us, keep checking our website. We'll reach out to you for interview dates. And they really did reach out to us. But for me, I'd seen this big tech company open up their roles. We had a school alum. One of the alums from my school came to speak to us. It was one evening and he was just talking about how the opportunity had been opened 2 weeks ago and the recruiter was telling him how many people had applied. In my mind, I was like, oh, it's been opened 2 weeks ago and I have not applied. Okay, let me just put in my resume just because, And that was how I put in my resume. And that's why I'm telling you that my story does not follow the regular, but then don't be like me. I keep saying it. Mine was just a story of grace. I would not really, take all the glory for this. Nah, I won't take all of the praise or no. It was really, really good. So I applied for the role. As a matter of fact, I applied for 2 roles because I was like, in fact, the one I got, I was shutting down my laptop and I said, let it just not be like I did not apply. So I did apply for that role. Voila, that was like September. It was before the National Black, interestingly. Yes, it was like before National Black. I forgot that I ever applied there and that was it. Tell me why it was September 26th. I was chilling on my bed and then I saw this interview invite. You have been invited to interview. I'm like, oh no, somebody's trying to scam me in the United States. Definitely know me. Because of all people to interview a pharmacist, I don't have a tech background. I was just playing with you guys. It was just a joke. Don't you get it? Then I literally dropped my phone. Honestly, you won't believe this. I didn't do anything because I didn't take it seriously. Interestingly, or luckily for me, I had set up a coffee chat with the alum that came to my school some weeks earlier. He didn't have my time. Well, we didn't have time. And he had said, oh, I will only be able to talk to you end of the month. this was September 26th. End of the month coincided with, the time I was speaking with him, and after I'd gotten my interview slot. So I asked him, I said, oh, he was like, oh, do you still want to talk? I mean, we're talking about the reason I reached out. And I was like, oh, I have an update for you. I got this email saying I should come interview, and I think it's a joke. Someone is just trying to scam me. And it was like, share your screen. I did share my screen, and it was like, guess what? That is real blah, blah, blah company. Take it seriously. Oh my God. Oh my God, the nervousness, the fear, the anxiety all at once. I didn't know how to behave. I didn't know how to react. I didn't know anyone like me that was throwing this path. It was a really, really daunting period for me because I was like, God, is this what you would have me do? Do you really want me to go this path? I was like, you know what? I will just interview and see. Then I went back to my darling LinkedIn. I did the simulation. I think one day I need to teach people how to really optimize on LinkedIn. So what I did was to look for people, and I was looking for someone. I don't know why God wanted me to do that. I looked for someone that finished from my undergrad school. That's the University of Lagos. And I was working at that company. So you can put a couple of filters, and that's what I did. And it came up, and I found somebody that was in an adjacent role, like in the same unit, but an adjacent role. And I'm like, guy, that's how I reached out to him. I would never forget. I sent him the message, introduced myself, talked about point of alignment coming from Unilag. And in less than 2 hours, he responded with his phone number. He didn't even respond, like, call me. I called him. He sent me resources to practice with. And he was like, I'm happy to do a mock interview with you next week. That was, my interview was so I think I got the email to come interview like, say 26. My interview was like October 6th. And then it was like 10 days. It wasn't up to 2 weeks. So I applied. I started preparing with those. So I had the weekend to prepare, and it was like, he's happy to do a mock with me. So we did a mock, I think on Tuesday, the following week. And it was like, okay, not bad, but if you want an additional mock, I'm happy. I said, of course. Then I think we met the following day, Wednesday, we did another mock. That was it. Thursday, I just wanted to breathe. And on Friday, I did my interview. I'll never forget, the following week, the Monday was a public holiday. Now, I should now remember which public holiday is in October. The Monday was a public holiday, and I think by Wednesday or Thursday, in 2 or 3 days, like literally 2 or 3 days post-interview, I got my email. Congratulations, you are being offered a role to intern with us during the summer. This was October. It was less than 2 months of starting the program. It was like mid-October. So I say this to say that sometimes where you even put the energy is not where it's going to yield, but just keep putting in the work. Just keep putting in the work, be consistent, and it's eventually going to yield. I keep telling people this. There is no way you are going to put in the work and you will not see the result. It might not be where, it might not be the time, but you just keep showing up. And I also understand that we all have different timings. We all have different, we all have different ways that things show up or happen to us. So I don't want you to compare yourself to me or compare your story to mine. We are all on different paths, and we are all on different journeys. So with that, I have come to the end of this video. But just to recap, I'd like to remind you, first and foremost, start early. Secondly, reach out to people. Thirdly, be consistent. Fourthly, prepare. And of course, a bonus one is pray. It gets as this thing they be. You need God. Trust me, you need God. That's all I can say. The summary of honestly my story is God. So yeah, I've come to the end of this video, guys. Please like, share in your, I've told you, your gossip group, share it there. I don't mind. Please go ahead. Share it everywhere. Send it to your friends, even your mommy. She might just want to be an intern next year, okay? Thank you. Love you. Kisses.
The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. Numbers 6:24-26.